What is up, fellow MCOC players? It is Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. Before we get there, I wanted to get this video out on Punisher. I am considering actually downranking my Black Widow and putting those T4 skilled catalysts into Punisher. I've got him at rank 3 right now. I'm going to move him up to 4 for a little more testing. So before we get into the video, let's go ahead and rank him up. So overall, my initial impression of Punisher has been really positive. He's a really rare, unique champion, and I really felt that he needed something special to kind of go along with that. And they far exceeded my expectations as far as character, kind of his play style. We haven't really seen anything like that before, as far as his open wound debuff. But there's a couple of areas that he really falls flat on his face. Because he is so dependent upon his open wound debuff, if you are not able to get it on the character, then you're really kind of spinning your wheels. He's not really all that great. Which, if you have a longer fight, like for instance, this is the Road to the Labyrinth of Legends. If you're running that, or you are running, a Realm of Legends, those fights are long and they allow for, missed bleeds or, the fact that you don't necessarily always get your open wound. But if you're running Alliance, Alliance quests, Alliance wars, I'm not sure, and regular questing, I should say, I'm not sure that it allows for enough time for you to be able to, to take advantage of his abilities. What you saw there was an S2 that I fired off, and the bleed when it expired had a 65% chance to put on the open wound, and it did nothing. So I'm thinking surely it can't happen twice in a row, and that is exactly what happens. So I'm going to speed up the video here. This is the third special 2 in a row. And again, remember, there's a 65% chance when this thing expires that it is going to put an open wound. It does nothing. So, there's no way we can go 4 for 4, right? Here we go. Yeah. There's an 85% chance to get a bleed, and I didn't even get that. So, now we are on our 5th S2. Again, did not even get a bleed. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, is something broken with the game? Like, there's no way that I've gone, two S2s in a row with no bleed, and that's 5 in a row without getting the debuff. That was 151 hits, which I don't know if that's an anomaly, but again, if you run into a situation when you're not able to apply that debuff the first time, you're really going to be gimped for the rest of the fight. You really can't take advantage of his awesome, stacking bleed abilities. So I think that this fight illustrates this perfectly as well. I jumped right from that Kamala Khan fight into the fight here with Hulk. This is the final act. This is act number 4. This is the final chapter in act number 4. And this is a very heavily physical resistance Hulk, so I was hoping this was going to be kind of a long fight in order for me to get off a lot of hits and be able to take advantage. So again, this is the 6th S2 in a row that I have fired off, and the 3rd in a row that I did not even get a bleed. And if that happens, it just puts you so far behind. Okay, so watch this. I finally get the bleed. At this point, he's more than half dead, which the bleed is strong, but he's more than half dead. And I do get the open wound debuff, but at this point, what use is it to me? I've just completed the whole fight without having it. I got 2 stacks of bleed. I did probably maybe 300 damage. So unless the fight is really long, and unless you get the debuff right away, if you're just using him for questing and for arenas, you're not going to see any benefit. I even kind of question whether, how useful he's going to be in Alliance Wars. This particular fight, first time S2, I get the open wound, thankfully. And what you're going to see is if you've got it on for a while, you're able to stack up those bleeds. And I got 2 right there from a 5-hit combo. I got 2 more bleeds there from a special one. And if you can get that open wound debuff, it's going to do a lot of damage. But that seems to be like a big if. The only thing that I can recommend to you is if you're going to use Punisher, if it's a short fight and you're questing, don't worry about it. But if you are in fact running, Road to the Labyrinth, or you're trying to do Realm of Legends, do not mess around with your S2, because there is a chance that you're not even going to get a bleed, and you want to get that debuff on there as soon as possible. So if you can push yourself to an S3, there's a 100% chance to get a bleed. So really all you're looking at there is an 85% chance, because it's got a higher chance to get the open wound debuff. And I really feel like that's apparently that doesn't seem like a lot more, but that's a much safer number, the 85% is, than the 65% from S2. So I hope that was fairly clear. I guess I should repeat myself here. If you're going into a longer fight, don't mess around with the S2. Just go straight to the S3 for the guaranteed bleed, and then for the 85% chance to get the open wound. Because from here on out, all you got to focus on is just your parries, your intercepts. Well, I shouldn't say parries, because the nerf has kind of screwed that up. But just focus on your intercepts and focus on getting as many bleed stacks as you can. What I was testing here, which I think is kind of odd, is I wanted to go ahead and try another S2 to see if every one of these hits, because he does 11 hits for his S3, has a chance to stack the bleed. And as you can see here, I got nothing. That was just the one stack of the standard bleed from doing your S3. I don't know if that is how it was intended to be used. I mean, the description as you read it is anytime you're hitting a character that is bleeding, which the open wound counts as a bleed, there's a 20% chance with every hit that you're going to cause an additional bleed. And I guess even though the hit counter is going up for the S3, they do not consider each and every one of those hits a hit, even though they count it as a hit. I don't know. If you can make sense of that one, then you probably are a Kabam employee, so maybe it's best that I don't understand it. I think at some point, and it may be towards the end, I don't know if I do an S2 or another S3, but the open wound actually stacked on itself, which from what I could tell, that just seems like a bug, because it wasn't actually triggering any additional bleed effects, which that would be really cool. I mean, especially for long fights like Realm of Legends, if you could stack the open wound debuff and get like a 40% chance with every hit to get a bleed, that would be really cool. But I think if you do in fact see 2 stacks of the open wound debuff, it's just a glitch. You're not actually receiving any benefit from it. One of the things I wish in doing all of this testing is that Kabam would just give us an area to go into that's just purely for testing. You don't take any damage, but you can still build synergy teams, and you can test masteries and stuff. Because this new Winter Soldier, this is absolute garbage. It takes so long to do any testing because you constantly have to be baiting out the S1. Here's the S2. I did find, if you saw there at the end, you can swipe back and avoid like the final 2 or 3 shots. But overall, you're still taking a ton of damage, and I don't know why Kabam hasn't given that to us, especially at the beginning of a new patch like this. An opportunity to do more testing. So there you have it. You can see I've got 2 stacks of open wound. I always want to call it deep wound, but it's open wound, and it's not doing any additional bleed effects from what I can tell. Overall, I mean, I do enjoy Punisher. I don't think I'm as excited to take him to rank 5 as I thought I would be. He is an excellent bleed and damage character. He's got a lot of I don't want to call it utility, but he's got a little bit of a glass cannon bleed effect built in with a little bit of resistance. He's kind of a mixed bag there, but ultimately it is very dependent upon how long the fight is. If you are mostly an arena player, or you are mostly running through regular questing, I'm not sure that I would spend any of your catalysts taking him all the way up to 5 right now. I go ahead and let him kill me there so I can end the fight and end this madness, but I would probably look to put those into Winter Soldier. I think he's actually going to be a little bit of a better option. For me, I think that's where I'm going to end up putting my catalysts, but that's kind of a video for another day. Hopefully this was a help to you. I haven't seen a lot of people talking about Punisher, which I thought for sure there would be a lot more videos up on him by now. Maybe people are just kind of waiting around to see if there are any more changes before they put videos out. But if you have any questions, certainly hit me up in the comments section. Happy to hear from everybody. Appreciate the support over the last couple of days. And until the next video, guys, I will see you later. Have a great day.